Okay, so yesterday night we played against Almería and it was a lovely 3-1 victory for Real Madrid at the Powerhouse Stadium in Almería. Again, second win of the season, really nice. And today for the post-match review, we are obviously joined by Jabari. How are you doing, my friend?
Yes, bro, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, it's obviously another big victory for Real Madrid, and so it adds to the tally for this season. So that's the second victory of the year. Athletic Club, obviously, first game of the season, and there were some really good points, and there was some less so good sort of points. I think the first half, I think the match went so where the first half it was a bit. I think Almeria were definitely in it at halftime. They were definitely in that game, and they could have definitely hoped to, keep it as a draw and maybe even score a winner. But in the end, the second half, we took control. And we got the victory, which was a really nice victory for us. So, I mean, there's only one place to start, and that is with Mr. Jude Bellingham, because he was fantastic once again. 2 goals, 1 assist. And I think in this game, I think he took more of an impact in terms of going forward. I think he showed his clinicality in front of goal. I mean, the first goal, it was a really, really nice goal. It was more reactionary. It was more out of the blue. It was just like, okay, it's dropped down to him. I know some people have some problems with the handball. I think it was a harsh call if they would have not given it to Jude. But I think it was the right decision in the end. And yeah, it was a really nice finish, and then the second one a header. So, what did you make of Jude's performance in front of goal? And overall, what did you make of Jude's performance?
Yeah, I think that it was a more offensive performance than his one against Athletic Club, because we saw him dropping into the midfield against Athletic, especially in the first half, and helping the build up on his first phase of play. But this time, he made more penetrating runs into the box and was much more offensive threat, but it was another performance from Bellingham. I think 3 goals in 2 games and 1 assist. That's always good to add to our goals and assist contributions, and really influential for us if we want to competently replace the people who we've lost in Benzema and Asensio and their contributions to the team. But another good performance from Bellingham and impressive start to his Real Madrid career.
Yeah, I've got some questions for you about Jude, because I think Jude's a fantastic player. He's I think for me right now, in terms of England, I think he's the second best English player behind Harry Kane. And in terms of this season, we've obviously not signed a striker. I don't think we'll get any more business done from now until the end of the window. So I think our business is concluded. Do you think, having seen Jude in these first 2 games scoring goals, do you think that Jude is enough to replace Benzema? Do you think Jude is enough to cover the burden of losing a striker and not really having a number 9 going into the season, apart from Mosselu? So, do you think Jude is enough to cover that up?
It's difficult to see right now, because ultimately he is scoring goals, and the simple answer or the basic answer will be to say yes. But I still believe that we need a pure out and out goal scorer to replace Benzema, because let's be honest, Bellingham is a midfielder. Midfielders' number 1 priority on the football pitch isn't to score goals. So ultimately, it's difficult to see right now, because some people may think yes, just based on these 2 games, but the season is a long season, and it will have games, a long stretch of games, in fact, where Bellingham will not score or he will not assist. I hope that I'm proven wrong, but that's just speaking based off facts, and midfielders don't usually score every game or assist every game. So let's hope that it can continue, but I still believe that we need a striker to replace Benzema.
Yeah, I agree. I think we do need a striker, but I don't think it's going to come. So I think Jude, for now, he's obviously got to a hot start. So another question I would have to ask you is, in terms of Jude scoring right now, he's scored 3 goals in 2 games and obviously got an assist. Can he keep this up? Because this is a hot start, and not many players can keep this up for the duration of a season. A 60-game season. Do you think Jude can keep this going? And how many goals do you reckon Jude will have scored by the end of the season? And what do you think is needed from Jude by the end of the season?
I think that he will keep it going. I think we have Celta on Friday. I think that he will score there as well because that's just the form and the mentality and the mindset that he's in. He's chipping in the goals, and I think that he will keep it up against Celta. And the first game at the Bernabeu as well, because we play at home. After the game against Celta, we finally back to the Bernabeu. So I think he'll score there just based on the fact that it's that first game at the Bernabeu. Big game player, big mentality. So I think that he will score there. But I expect him for this season in La Liga to hit double digits. That's my expectation of him because I believe that he's good enough to do that. And I don't want to say that we rely on him heavily enough to do that, but he seems to be one of our main goal threats. So therefore, he will surpass double digits in my opinion.
Yeah, I think for us this season, I think Jude needs to hit. I think he needs to hit 20 goals. I think that may come in all competitions. I must stress that, but I do think that he does need to hit 20 goals. Assists, I'm not so sure. I think other players can carry that burden as well. I think Vini can get 10 assists, 20 assists around that mark. Rodrigo similar. I think Kroos obviously is always going to hit like a certain amount of assists. So I think assists we're not going to need as much from him. But in terms of goals, we need, I think, from him, Vini, Rodrigo, from those three guys, I think we need to hit 20 goals in all competitions at least. I think that from those three guys, they're going to have to carry a lot of the goal scoring burden in this team. I think they're going to have to score a hell of a lot of goals. And I think they can do that. Because Vini, even in last season when Vini was, remarkable, he was amazing, he still missed a lot of chances. And you can say the exact same for Rodrigo, missed a lot of chances. So, we start, if you start putting away half of those missed chances on top of the chances that we already scored, you were talking about 25 goals for Vini, maybe 20 for Rodrigo. So, it's a really good position. If they can just step it up a little bit, then, we're obviously not going to completely replace Benzema with these guys, but a lot of it can be replaced. And, especially, what I've liked to see as well is that the defence looks to have improved, and that's what we're gonna move on to now. The defence looks like it's improved a little bit. In this game, we got off to a slow start with Sergio Arribas scoring really early, and we're going to talk about Sergio Arribas a little bit later on. We got off to a slow start, but ever since that point, I think we played really, really nicely, really, really tightly defensively, and I think the defence was really, really solid. I thought Fran Garcia was much improved from last week. Last week he looked a bit like a headless chicken at points. A lot of the time he just looked very nervous, taking big touches here and there. And it was clear to see it was his debut and he was nervous. But this week it was much improved from Fran Garcia. I think Rudiger was really nice. I thought Alaba was solid as ever. And I thought Carvajal. First two games this season, it looks really, really good from Carvajal. I'm not gonna push the boundaries too much and say Carvajal is back or something like that, but it looks really, really nice. So I think it's our job to just make sure that Carvajal stays fit for the important matches, because if he puts in these kinds of performances, then we're talking about a completely different fullback. So it's important, and we'll talk about Lunin later. So what are your thoughts on the defensive performance, just overall?
I think that individually, the defenders, I don't think anyone had a game below an 8 out of 10. I think that Carvalho was very good, Rudiger was very good, Alaba good as usual, and Fran Garcia, as you said, this is his best performance in Real Madrid since he's back, especially in a competitive game, because against Bilbao, as you said, he was good, especially in the second half, he improved, but in the first half, his touch was off. Decision making wasn't necessarily great, but in this game he did well. He improved. So I think that individually they did well, but I still believe that collectively there's still some communication issues to sort of. Still some when you right back needs to go or when the centre back needs to stay. So naturally that will happen because Milita was out injured. So it will take time for Rudiger and the guys to get their chemistry on 100% and get the communication better, but it's steps in the right direction for sure. I was impressed, especially with Rudiger and his calmness today, because he didn't jump into too many tackles. So promising signs, but let's hope that they can continue.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed from Rudiger recently. I think he's become a lot less rash, a lot less, erratic here, defensively. I think he's definitely taken that more calm step, and he's very aggressive when he needs to be, and I think that's what I like about Rudiger. But he isn't making silly challenges, which is I really like that. So another key part of that defensive performance, I think, was Aurelien Tchouameni, and I think Tchouameni was absolutely brilliant. And if it wasn't for Jude having an absolute masterclass in front of goal, I think Tchouameni would have been a man of the match. I think he was really, really good. Especially for a guy who, a lot of Premier League fans were looking at him and saying that he is a sellable asset for Real Madrid, but Carlo Ancelotti, I think, he's realised that, he is our best defensive midfielder by every stretch of the meaning. He is just a fantastic player. He's probably our only proper defensive midfielder. Defensively, he was just really solid, and, it's good to see him, adapting to playing in a single pivot. Previously, he looked a lot more comfortable alongside someone like Camavinga or Toni Kroos in that double pivot role. But I think, an important part of being a Real Madrid defensive midfielder is playing in a single pivot. And I think Tchouameni is adapting to that now, and he's providing that defensive cover that last season it wasn't there sometimes. At points he did look a bit dodgy, just him defensively, and I think he stepped that up. And in terms of going forward, he's just so calm on the ball, him dictating that tempo from deep. It's even alongside someone like Toni Kroos, it's just really nice to see as well, because you know that we're never gonna lose control with Tchouameni in the deep position, and I think that's what I like so much about him. He's taking that step up, which it's really nice to see Tchouameni taking that step up, because I think it's not like a Camavinga situation where Camavinga's 19, he'll improve it. He's got years ahead of him. Tchouameni's young. He's young. Don't get me wrong. He's 22 now, but he's not like as young as Camavinga. So if you get what I mean, I think Tchouameni was really nice. So what are your thoughts on Aurelien Tchouameni's performance in this game?
Another brilliant performance from Tchouameni. And the thing about him is a player with his level of talent and ability, with his mentality as well, can never feel at Real Madrid. So I find it funny how Premier League fans, specifically Liverpool fans, keep linking this to this player, because he's not leaving us anytime soon. He's simply too good for us to sell him. But another great performance, in fact. He's so calm in possession, and as you said, his decision making out of possession has improved compared to last season. Because you mustn't forget that at Monaco, he played in a double pivot, which is they always have some sort of defensive cover to your left or to your right. If you go, you know that you're the defensive partner in the midfield, he will stay, and vice versa. So we saw him struggle with that to understand the single pivot position a little bit last season, but I think that he has improved. I think that whatever training he's doing personally and analysis of his game, and as well with Ancelotti, I think that he has improved and top another quality performance, as I said, penetrating passes between the lines, or they just want to recycle the ball simply to your right back or to your left back and keep play taking. He does his simple things so well, which always helps any team. So another great performance, I'm sure, man. I'm pleased with his stats, so let's hope it can continue.
Yeah, I think his performances are going to be key for us this season, because I think at points it was very clear last season that we lacked. We definitely did feel the loss of Casemiro, I think, last season, and especially defensively, I felt like at points we just couldn't cope with that loss of one man. That Casemiro, he was just incredible defensively. His intuition defensively was incredible, and it was just so good for us. If Tchouameni can reach 60% of Casemiro's defensive level, even 50%, he would become the best defensive midfielder in the world, in my opinion. There's no doubt about that. So I think Tchouameni he's on the right path right now. He just needs to continue to get that consistency, because there were points last season where he put in some good performance, then he put in a more dodgy one. So I think continue these performances for Tchouameni, and I think he becomes a really, really, really huge part of our season, and I think that's really key for us having a good season this year. Next up, I think we should talk about Vinicius Jr., because I think apart from the goal, which the goal was absolutely incredible. I think it hasn't talked about enough how genius it was. Just spotting Maximiano off his line and just chipping him from on the edge of the box. That's really, really, really good finish. I think it was quite underrated. No one was really talking about that post game, but it was a really, really nice finish. And I think apart from that, though, Vini, I don't think it is his fault. I think it is more adapting to the role. But I think Vini was quiet once again. I think he didn't get on the ball enough, and I think when he did get on the ball, he was just running into traffic. I think he didn't get time to control the ball and just try and run at defenders. He was he was controlling the ball with the defenders on him. I think that's the difference. He's playing more of a hold up role instead of a winger role, and I think for me, I think Vini has to. I think Vini should just. I think Ancelotti should find a way to get Vini to play that winger role rather than trying to make him a left striker type thing. I think, this is not going to be the long-term solution for Vinicius Junior, and I think for me, there's no point trying to make him adapt to this role when you're just going to shift it in 1 year's time if Mbappe comes in. Or if Mbappe doesn't come, you sign another different striker, or Endrick comes in as the number 9 and Vini goes back to being a left winger. I just don't think it's worth it playing, changing Vini's role, because, you lose a lot of the impact I think that's definitely understated. In other games, let's talk about a game against, it's all well and good playing against Almeria or Athletic Club like this, but they don't play defensively like a team like Getafe or like a team like Cadiz do. Those two teams, they play defensive, and you need Vinicius to be running at the defenders. Here, I think Vini wasn't getting on the ball enough, and I think that comes down to his positioning, and I think he has to occupy that position on the wide left. I think he has to stay on the left wing and take on the defenders, because I think that is where Vini is just so clear of most of the players on the planet. I would say I think for me, he's the best left winger in the world. I know Mbappe is a great player, and I think as a pure winger, and Vinicius Junior is better, and I think you've got to use his strength because if we're talking about Vinicius Junior at his best, we're talking about a 20-goal, 20-assist player in all competitions. So, you have to use Vinicius to his best as much as we have to use Jude Bellingham to his best. So what are your thoughts on Vini's performance?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you in the sense that this isn't the same Vinicius out wide, running at his right back, constantly throughout the game, a constant threat on the left wing. This isn't the same one in that sense. But it's a different sort of dance that he's trying to imply. Whereas he's closer to the goal, as he has said multiple times in interviews, so he's more of a goal threat, and he's less of a danger to defenders. Since a 1v1, so he's closer to the goal. But ultimately, I don't like Vini in this position, because I think that his best position is on the left wing. But I'm more than happy to see how he can adapt to this role, and ultimately, it will lead to our success if he does it well. But I think that to be honest with you, I think that this was his best game in this role against Almería. I think that even though he was quiet for certain phases, I think that his actions were positive more times than none, especially compared to Athletic Bilbao, where he was poor in my opinion. But sometimes he needs to keep it simple. He does too much sometimes, and naturally so, because he's our best player. He's our star, but he's the face of the club. So he wants to shine and he wants to be flamboyant in the field. But I think that sometimes the best action is the simple action. So sometimes just pass to the midfielder, pass to the left back sometimes, instead of trying to run into traffic. But I think that this was a good game from him. And his goal was well taken, as you said, a quality finish. And let's see how he adapts to this game. But I'm not a fan of it personally, but as I said, I'm more than happy to give it time and to see how well he does adapt to the role.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. It's, as long as we're winning games, this is what I like about this team so far. We're winning games without Vinicius impacting it. I think that was one of the main worries I had going into this season, which was whether we'd be too reliant on Vinicius Junior. I think right now it's good that we're not reliant on Vinicius, but then we're relying on Jude Bellingham. So, I want to see both of them, ideally I want to see both of them thriving, and, that gives us options. So, I think I'm happy to continue as long as we continue getting results. We just, that's what we need at this current moment in time. And, just to keep on going with this. And, when we need to switch, we can switch. It's as simple as that. When we need to switch, we can switch. So, that was good from, the goal was good from Vinicius Jr. Then I'm going to talk about Toni Kroos, because Kroos obviously got the disallowed goal, but then the assist as well. I don't like talking about refereeing decisions on this, but because you can't really change them. It's the end of the game. You can't change what happened. At best you get an apology from the referee. It's not like it matters at all. But I don't think the referee did a bad job in this game. I think, to be honest, it was a harsh call, I think, on Carvajal, but I think it was fair, to be honest. I think it was fair. Like, he did foul, he did clip him, and he did get him on the floor. So I think, it was fair enough for Carvajal for that goal to be disallowed. It was a really nice finish from Toni Kroos, as it always is when he scores a goal. But it was fair enough. It was fair enough as a foul. But apart from that, the assist, wow, what an assist it was. He's one of the only guys in world football that can make that pass consistently. 99 times out of 100, Toni Kroos makes that pass. Him, De Bruyne, maybe Modric are the only ones that can make that pass consistently. And I think that he's just, even at age 32, he's still so good. Like, we're gonna miss him next year, no matter what happens. No matter how good Camavinga, Valverde, Tchouameni are, we're gonna miss how composed, how, you can't replace that. You can never replace that. And we're never going to find that in another player, I don't think, especially with the way football's moving on from now, with these combinations of 6s and 8s. We don't get that pure number 8 who's just passing it, like, who's excellent passer, that Xabi Alonso mould, that Toni Kroos mould. You don't really get that anymore. So we're going to miss him no matter what, but it was an excellent performance once again from Toni Kroos, as we've come to expect for 10 years basically now for Real Madrid. So it was fantastic from Toni Kroos. What are your thoughts on the performance? And if you've got any thoughts on the refereeing, the decision, then just let us know.
Yeah, another performance, another great performance from Kroos. This is not new from Toni Kroos, especially coming off the back of last season, where he had a quality season as well, but a great assist as well. Well timed, the time to perfection. Bellingham timed the time to perfection, and Kroos just found them. And he didn't need to do much. He didn't need to redirect the ball or anything like that. He just needed to get contact on the ball, and the quality of the delivery was so good. Another good performance. He always, when you think of Kroos, you think of control the tempo. That's what he provides to Real Madrid. He controls the tempo of the game. He knows how to speed it up, and he knows how to slow it down at the right time to help us to win the game. And as you said, we never replace him. We never find someone as good or similar to what Kroos provides to us. It's just as simple as that. So, another great performance. But in terms of the refereeing decisions, it was a fair decision in my opinion. I think Carvalho did, step on player, and it was directly impacted. It did directly impact the goal, sorry. So it was a fair decision, and I think that the referee had a good game as well. We saw him telling the ball boy to stop wasting time. So those are signs that the refereeing is improving in the country. So let's hope that it can continue in the long run, and let's hope for the best.
Yeah, and then let's move on to Fede Valverde, because it was another solid game from Fede, and this is the second solid game in a row. And I think this is what principally Fede was doing. I think last season it was very much a huge swing upwards and then a huge swing downwards. I think at the start of the season he was just incredible. I think he was one of the best midfielders in the world at the beginning of last season, and then towards the end I think he did drop off. I think he's found this sweet spot right now where he's just being consistently good, consistently solid, where he's just, putting in 7, 8 out of 10s each week. I think it was 2 good performances, and that right now just kept things ticking over in midfield, did all the things that he's good at, which is, driving into the space, making sure that, Real Madrid got the width in the game, and it was a nice performance from Fede as he normally does, and I think this is what Fede should do. I think he's got other remarkable players next to him. You can just look at Jude Bellingham. So, Fede is going to be continuing to put these performances in, and when the Champions League rolls around and he has more space to play in, that's when he's going to put in the 9s and the 10s out of 10s. So I think right now in the La Liga games he's going to be just consistently good, consistently decent, and I think that's what we want from Fede Valverde. So what are your thoughts on his performance?
Yeah, as you said, a 7 out of 10 performance, 8 out of 10 performance from Fede, which is expected on a player of his level and what we've seen from the start of last season as well. I think that his goals early on, I think that trick people into thinking that he is a natural goal scorer, but he isn't, because he's a midfielder, as I said earlier, which their job isn't to score goals. Their job is to keep the ball, take and recycle the ball, make penetrating passes between the lines and provide defensive cover to the attackers. So, I mean, and he's doing all those things. And another thing that he has done very well is he's helped Carvajal more naturally, because he's closer to him by nature, because of the formation that we're playing in the diamond. He's closer to the right back position, so Carvajal has that leeway and that freedom to go forward and make those runs offensively, because he knows that Fede is always in that position in the case of a counter attack. So another good performance on Fede offensively and defensively as well. And yeah, let's see if it can continue. And I hope and I know that it will continue from Fede.
Yeah, 100%. I think Fede will he'll wow the Premier League fans when it comes to the Champions League, but when it comes to La Liga, just keep it calm. You don't need to be the star man, and just do what you're doing. Just do what you do best, which is just make sure everything's going well for yourself. So yeah, really nice performance from Fede Valverde as usual. I think before we move on to the goalkeeper situation, which I'm intrigued to ask you about. Let's talk about just 1 second on Brahim Diaz, who made a really nice run towards the end of the match. Just really nice dribble. Unfortunately, there was no one else there, for him to play it to, so it didn't end up in a goal. Maybe he should have taken a shot, but again, it was a nice dribble, and I think when Jude needs a spot man, behind him, I think that number 10 role is perfect for Brahim Diaz as well. I think he's been getting a bit too much disrespect, to be totally honest. I think he's played 3 years in AC Milan, and I think at points he was really good for AC Milan. And I think the worst thing about him was the fact that he had a bit of the Asensio when he was just ghosting in a couple matches, and I think that's the main issue with Brahim Diaz. But when he's good, he's really good. Like, I think some of us fail to realise that. So yeah, I think Brahim Diaz has things to offer, especially in that number 10 role, and I think some of the fans don't realise that. So what are your thoughts on Brahim Diaz and his role to play in the future?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you in terms of his tendency to ghost in matches, because I watch a lot of Milan, and when it isn't going good for him in matches, he tends to shy away. And that was the nature of criticism at Milan. But ultimately, when he's on it, as you saw last season in his game against Juventus, when he's on it, he's definitely on it, and he can be a constant threat, because he's short, he's nimble, he's quick, so he can provide some threat offensively, and he has an eye for a pass in the final third as well. So yeah, but a good coming from him. He made a good run, and Jose didn't make the run across the goal to get the shot off on target, but it was a good run and promising signs. And I think that we're forgetting that in the number 10 position as well, we have Aragala, who's yet to feature for the club. So we have weapons in case Bellingham is injured or maybe would need some rest. We definitely have weapons to competently replace him. So
yeah, and then let's talk about the goalkeeper situation, because I've got Sean's opinion last week on, and you've heard my opinion on the goalkeeping situation. I think Kepa is not the worst option you could have brought. We're talking about 3 options really you had with De Gea, Bono, and Kepa. I think De Gea not good enough with the ball at his feet. I think that's the main issue, and wage-wise, I think you'd ask for too much. Bono is fantastic. I think Bono is a really good keeper. Obviously, now he's gone to Al Hilal, so that was not an option anymore. But the only problem with him was the fact that you had to pay 30 million or something like that to Sevilla, which, for one season, that's a bit excessive, as well as the fact that he would miss 12 games due to AFCON, because Morocco are obviously going to be favourites for that one. So, in terms of Kepa coming in on a 1 year loan, I think it's a good deal for what you could have done. I think it's as good as what you could have done, to be totally honest. And I think, Lunin's going to give him a little bit of headache as well, because, these two performances from Lunin, they haven't been remarkable because he hasn't had an opportunity to display anything remarkable. But, it's been solid from Lunin, and that's all you can ask for from a keeper who's replacing the best goalkeeper in the world. So I think, I think the goalkeeping situation is not as bad as some people are making out to be. I think Lunin is going to provide some serious competition, and I think there is an opportunity for Lunin, same way there's going to be an opportunity for Kepa. So what are your thoughts on the goalkeeper situation and on terms of Lunin and Kepa?
Yeah, I mean, anyone we brought in, anyone we decided that we were going to sign, whether on loan or permanently, was always going to be a downgrade on Kurta because he's the best in the world.
Unless you sign Alisson.
Unless we sign Alisson, exactly. So, ultimately, and that was never going to happen. So, I mean, I think fans need to be a little more understanding with the Kepa signing, because we couldn't have signed Alisson or Donnarumma, or let's say Mike Maignan, because these players have already completed preseason with their clubs and are 100% locked in mentally with their club. So it was impossible for us to do that. So we just have to be a little more understanding with this. And I'll be honest, I was a little angry when I saw the links at first, but after seeing what fans had to say and calming down and not really thinking about the situation, I said that, okay, well, just a proven winner. He won cups at Chelsea. And let's not forget his time at Bilbao, where he was one of the most promising goalkeeping talents in the world. So it is a good signing, ultimately, all things considered. But maybe unpopular, but I would not start him right away on Friday, because I think that simply because, let's say, for instance, we lose the game or we drop points, the narrative will be, and we know Madrid fans, and the narrative will be that Lunin comes out, Kepa replaces him, and we drop points just because of Kepa. That will be the narrative. So I don't want that neither for Kepa, nor do I want that in the dressing room or amongst the fans. This toxicity. So I'll keep learning until he shows me that he isn't worthy of the rule. And let's be honest, it can't happen, because he can't make mistakes in consecutive matches, back-to-back matches, or he can't make two big mistakes in one match, which can give Kepa the opportunity. It will be harsh on Lunin, because ultimately is his first mistake, let's say, that cost us a game, but that's how football is, and he has to know that. Football is harsh, especially at Real Madrid, so it's always difficult to have two keepers at the same level, because a keeper isn't like a defender where you can say a centre back. Maybe let's say like Ben White at Arsenal, he could play at right back, or Timber, he could play at right back, and Saliba and Gabriel, you can start in defence. You can't say that a keeper, because there's only one goalkeeper in position, and they, not by nature, they aren't versatile. So it's very difficult to have two keepers at the same level who know that they are the same level and are fighting for one position. But to be honest, I would continue to start Lennon until he proves me that he isn't ready for the role.
Yeah, I would agree. I think with the Madrid fans are definitely going to jump on Kepa, even if it's a little minor mistake. I think they'll jump on Kepa, and Kepa is mistake prone. We've seen this before. Kepa is he does make mistakes, and I think he is a confidence keeper, and I think when he's struggling with confidence, I think he is bad. I think that we've seen that before for Chelsea. When he's lacking confidence, there you can clearly see it. So I think take your time with Kepa. There's no need to rush it. It's not like you don't have a bad goalkeeper in between the sticks. You don't have a 17-year-old Castilla player in between the sticks. You got a decent keeper with Lunin. Just take your time with Kepa. Make sure he understands the system, the way that the tendencies of the centre backs and stuff like that. Just make sure everything's all right before Kepa makes that debut, because you don't want to mess things up for him. It's big for Kepa, the fact that he's going to get an opportunity to impress before the Euros for Spain. So I think, I think that you shouldn't mess up things for Kepa. Just take it slowly for now. There's plenty of games in a season, 60 games we're talking about possibly if Madrid make it all the way in all the competitions. There's plenty of games to be played. We've only played 2, so just take things slow with Kepa. And then, just to finish up, let's talk about Mr. Sergio Arribas, who scored a goal which was seemingly inevitable. I feel really good for Sergio Arribas, though. I think, for me, he obviously he said sorry to the Madrid fans for scoring. I feel really good for the guy because imagine playing 3 years for Castilla, being their absolute best player for 3 years straight, and being absolutely incredible at that level for 3 years straight, and still not getting an opportunity. When you get an opportunity in the Club World Cup, and you get 1 minute of football in the Club World Cup, and you score in that minute of football. I just think, and to continue to not get minutes to the first team, I just think, his situation was so unfortunate. And I think he finally gets that opportunity to play for Almería, similar to what Miguel Gutierrez got for Girona last season as well, where he's really good at some points. I think, for him to score on us, I think, that gives him a really good chance of coming back, similar to what Fran Garcia did, where obviously he didn't score, but, putting a man of the match performance against us. I think, it gives him a good opportunity to come back in the future. I think he can have a really good season for Almería this year. In a team which, there aren't too many stars in Almería. I think Ramazani is a good player, he's quick, but there aren't too many, top class La Liga player. I think, he can really step things up and show himself to be a really, really good player. So, it's a really good opportunity for Sergio Arribas, and I think personally I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy for him that he scored a goal against Real Madrid because, it was practically inevitable. I said last week he would score on us, and here we are. So what are your thoughts on Sergio Arribas and, him coming back to bite us?
Yeah, it was always going to happen because this always seems to happen to Real Madrid and their lone players. But he said it in an interview that he just wants to prove his level. He just wants to prove his level in first division football that he was showing at Castilla. So rightfully so, because he was Castilla's best player. He was, I won't say by far not the best player, but everyone could see that his level was first team football, whether at Real Madrid or whether at another team or in another league or in La Liga. But he is that good. So I'm very pleased for him. And I didn't necessarily smile or laugh. Well, I didn't laugh when he scored, but I was not happy because he scored against us. But, I am happy for him that he scored. So let's hope that he does well at Almería as well. So, which is always good for us because we can bring him up.
Yeah, he can be a star player for Almería because, they're gonna be involved in a relegation battle. He can keep them up, and I think his goals and assists are going to be important for them for this season. So, it'll be exciting to see how he gets along. Comes along for Almería this season. I will be tracking his progress, seeing how he is. And we'll see in a year's time how he does, and hopefully eventually he comes back because I think it should happen for him at Real Madrid. I think it should. For how hard he worked, how well he played for Castilla, I think he should come back eventually. I think similar to how Fran Garcia did. I think, in a couple of years' time when he's worth 30 million, we can pay 15 and get him back. So I think he'll be a really good player in the future. And, good luck to Sergio Arribas because, I think he's a really good player. So that is it for today. Have you got anything else to say about this game, or do you think we covered it all?
No, that's it.
Yeah, okay. So I think, we've covered most of the Almería game. So next week, obviously, we've got Celta, as we've mentioned. I think we should be taking home another win there. Barcelona play today against Cadiz. I think they play against Cadiz. And then Atletico play against who? I think they play against... might be Betis. I'm not 100% sure on who Atletico play against, but this season Atletico are a genuine threat. They are a genuine threat, and especially with the money they're going to get for Joao Felix as well, they're going to get quite a bit of money. Even if it's just a loan, they're going to be a genuine threat this year because the form that they displayed in the last 6 months of last year is really good. So we need to be wary of that, not just Barcelona this year, but Atletico as well. So that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.
Thank you.